Test. Hi, good afternoon, and welcome to the Tahoe Truckee Unified School District Board meeting. Today is August 7th, and we, seeing no audience or comments, we will adjourn to closed session. Thank you.
1.
Hi, good afternoon, and welcome to the special board meeting of Tahoe Truckee Unified School District. Today is August 2nd, and President Driller is out of town. The board met I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So we need to approve the agenda, please. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for that. And next is public comment for items that are not in this evening's agenda. And I have one for Julie Mill-Peters. Thank you. Make sure that green light is on the mic for you, please. Is that working? sound very, very different. No, if that's what it is, I'm okay with it. I just want to make sure that it's being televised properly. Okay, great, thank you. All right, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Superintendent Kramer, distinguished board members, and everybody present. My name is Jesus Alfredo Galindo. As Superintendent Kramer mentioned, I have the immense privilege of being the CEO of Aim High. We're a summer enrichment program. In the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to tell you what we do, how we do it, and why we do it. Before I begin, I want to spend 60 seconds telling you briefly about who I am. I did not have the privilege of having Aim High in my life, but I like to describe myself as an Aim High student. There's 3 things that you need to know about me. The very first thing is I am the first person in my family to graduate from a 4-year university. And that opportunity didn't just expand my educational opportunities, but it changed the trajectory of everybody in my family. When I went to went back home and I taught my cousins what I knew. And slowly but surely, the trajectory in my family changed. My cousins ended up in UC Merced, UC Berkeley, Long Beach State, and it really opened our eyes to what was out there for us. The majority of the people in my family either worked in construction, they worked as cleaning maids, they worked in the fields. I grew up in Watsonville, grew up in Salinas, and those professions are honorable. They're beautiful. But students need to know that there's also other options out there, and going to a 4-year university opened my mind to what was available, and I brought that back to my community. The second thing you need to know about me is immediately after graduating from college, I became an educator because I believe in the power of education. I believe that education can change trajectories. I taught at an elementary school. I taught 1st grade, I taught 3rd grade, I taught 4th grade. I was a dual language immersion teacher, 50% in Spanish, 50% in English. I taught for 9 years. And here's the third thing you need to know about me. One day, one question changed my life. And that question was, what are you going to be doing there in the summer? My students were sitting in a circle, and one by one, they said, I'm going to be playing Minecraft, I'm going to be eating a big bag of Takis, and I'm going to be sipping on my favorite carbonated drink. It was either Coca-Cola or Pepsi. The debate still rages on. And even though that sounds fun, and it is, as a teacher, I was scared because I was well-versed in summer learning loss and the huge impact it has on the educational outcomes, not just of all kids, but specifically kids from marginalized communities. And I want it better for my students. So I went on Google, I typed what is the best free summer enrichment program, and there's one program that came on top over and over again, and that was Aim High. So I said, I don't know what it's going to take, but I'm going to bring that program to Richmond. I became a lead teacher. I taught science, chemistry, physics, and eventually I had the privilege of becoming a site director, which is what we call our principals. And in 2018, my dream acquired flesh and bone. We got to open the very first site in Richmond, California, where we've served close to 1,000 students. I'm here because, like you, I believe that when we give kids access to the right educational opportunities, there is nothing they can't achieve. I believe that, and I'm grateful that I get to partner with you to do that work. I'm going to quickly tell you about Aim High. We started over 39 years ago for matter. And what we believe is that not only does summer learning matter, but summer needs to be different when it comes to learning. We believe in a blend of rigorous academic learning blended with afternoon activities that intimately intertwine social emotional learning into everything that we do. And that's our North Star. We are trying to not just make sure that our students are progressing academically, but at the same time we are developing the whole child. I'm going to quickly go over what makes us so unique, and that is our core values. Our core values guide everything that we do. It is intimately intertwined into our decision-making process, from what subjects we offer to what afternoon activities we offer our students. And here's the thing that makes Aim High really special. It's not that it just influences our decision-making process, but we want to make sure that our students internalize our core values so that when they leave our summer program, they are operating in a way that's grounded in community, that they're seizing every opportunity, that they're thinking about respect, that they're embracing not only the diversity and uniqueness that they bring, but the diversity and uniqueness that others around them bring as well, and that ultimately they are keeping themselves to high expectations. And that's what I love about Aim High. It's not just a summer enrichment opportunity, it's something that students take with them long after they're gone. So I'm going to give you an overview of what Aim High looks like. Here's what you need to know. Aim High is a 5-week program for students, but it's a 6-week program for our staff. We offer we don't just develop students, but we also develop our staff, and we have an aspiring teachers program. We like to call it an aspiring educators program because we are trying to recruit individuals who want to go into education and lock arms with all of us to make sure that we're creating the personnel infrastructure to make sure every single kid has access to a great quality education. In terms of what our students get, here's an overview. Everything we do is project-based because when it comes to middle school students, for those who are nerds about academic rigor, that project base is really important. Students want to know, why am I learning algebra? Why am I learning this and why am I learning that? How am I going to be applying this to my life? That's why we subscribe to project-based learning. The second thing you need to know is we offer 3 subjects: humanities, STEM, and issues and choices. Issues and choices is what we're known for. We believe that students should be exposed to what A through G requirements are, not when they get to high school, but when they're in middle school. We believe that students should wrestle with who are they and what is their identity and how does their identity shape the way they navigate this world, not when they get to high school or when they get to college, but when they're in middle school or when they're late in elementary, because the more confident they are in who they are, they're going to seize those opportunities right in front of them. Here's the other thing you need to know is we don't want to leave college success up to chance. We want to make sure that our students know everything they need to know in order to understand what does the process entail. From what are the grades they need to have, to what are the courses that they need to take, to what are the different resources in their community that they can tap into when they're struggling. Let me quickly tell you a 30-second story that has really shaped why this is so important to me. I have a cousin, really brilliant cousin by the name of Claudia. And Claudia's dream was to enroll in a 4-year university after she graduated from high school. But there's one thing. When Claudia was in high school, in her first year, she took an ELD course. She was an English language learner just like I was. But she wasn't told that English language learning class, the ELD class, wasn't going to fulfill A through G requirements. So by the time she got to her junior year, and she was trying to apply to 4 university, she wasn't eligible. We want to eliminate that from happening. Our students need to know the information as early as possible, and we make that a priority at Aim High. I can go on, but the other things that we do is every student is guaranteed at least 1 to 2 field trips. We try to partner with local organizations to make sure that we are exposing our students to the different assets in their community. And in the Tahoe, Truckee area, there are so many assets. There's so many beautiful and amazing things to do in this community, and we want to make sure that we are exposing our students to those assets. Okay, so here's what we've been able to achieve. There's so many things that I want to highlight, but here's the thing that I really want to highlight because I know it's part of one of your priorities. Our students feel like they belong to a part of a community, and that's really important. They feel connected. They feel like they're a part of something bigger. And that's what we do exceptionally well at Aim High. We remind them that in this pursuit of education excellence, they're not alone, that they're a part of a larger ecosystem that deeply cares about them. The other thing that we do really well that I want to highlight is, and this makes me so happy because I was a part of their open house and I got to talk to students, over 90% of our students report that they make a new friend. And when you're a middle school student and you're going through something new, life can be really scary because life is changing really quickly. But when you have a buddy, when you have a friend, that can make a huge difference in the development of a kid. And we are happy that we structure Aim High so that students have multiple opportunities to make friends, to make robust relationship with the students and staff around them. All right, now I get to talk about Tahoe, Truckee, our site here. And I get so excited because we've been around for 39 years, but we've been in Tahoe, Truckee for 12 years. And Tahoe, Truckee Aim High was born out of multiple people coming together because they want the best for our students. And we realized that there was a need for our middle school students. Oftentimes, when it comes to expanded learning opportunities, there's a lot for elementary kids, there's a lot for high school students, but there are not a lot of opportunities for middle school students. And that's a problem because one of the strongest correlators of doing well in high school and doing well or going on to college is 8th grade proficiency rates. If students are not proficient by the time they get to 8th grade, they're gonna really struggle in high school. And that's why we believe that what we do matters so much. There's a couple things I wanna highlight is we've been able to work with over 180 staff. And many of these staff are aspiring educators. They've ended up they either work or are aspiring to work for this district. They want to be a part of this community in some capacity. They want to lock arms with all of us to make sure that every student has access to a high quality education. Before I conclude and I allot some time for questions, I want to let you know that Tahoe Truckee has been a model for all the other places that we've expanded. So when we think about Novato and we talk about NACPA, our partnership here really has served as a model. When we think about how to partner successfully with this district, when we talk about how to be a part of an ecosystem, this has been a really powerful model for us, and for that, I extend my gratitude. The last thing I want to say is, and I remember there's a proverb that I grew up with, a proverb that has really shaped me, and that's, as iron sharpens iron, so does one person sharpen another. If we've achieved any level of excellence for our students, it's because we've done it with all of you. Thank you for investing in us. Thank you for your thought partnership. What we do for kids, but we know that what we are able to do alone is not enough. But when we partner with all of you, that beautiful vision that we have of making sure that every single student has access to a high quality education can become a reality. I'm going to take a step away, and actually, there's one more thing, sorry. Our staff really wanted me to highlight this. This is really amazing. So our average attendance at our Tahoe Truckee site was over 95%. That is 15% more than our average site. That is over 70 kiddos this summer attending 95% of the time. That makes a huge difference because, by the way, what we do at Aim High is accelerated academics. Students are being pre-exposed to the curriculum and the standards they're going to see in the upcoming year. So when they walk into that classroom and the teacher's talking about this or that, they're going to say, hey, I already saw that. And that's going to make a huge difference. I want to pause, and I just want to end by expressing gratitude. Lupita, thank you for setting me up for success, for making sure I have everything for this presentation. I also want to thank Sean. Sean, you've been an incredible partner. Frank Delgado said, do not get off that podium without thanking Sean. You have been an integral partner of us, and I just want to thank this whole district, Superintendent Kramer, for just allowing us the privilege of working with you and the students. Thank you.
Wow, well, we're hiring, I'm just saying, for a two-way immersion, I'm just going to say. Thank you. Before we open it up to the board, is there any comment from the public? Right? That's the process, yeah. Please, yeah. Come up, yeah. You know the drill. Name, rank, all of that.
Good to see you. I'm Laura with Excellence in Education, and as I think Jesus highlighted up on the board, Excellence in Education has been a founding partner or supporter of Aim High, and this all really grew from a conversation probably 13 years ago, maybe 14 years ago, asking the then superintendent, is there a need for a program like this in Tahoe, Truckee? And the response was a resounding yes. And so it's been a real privilege. And I think Aim High has been, a mainstay in our summer programming. And one of the things that Jesus did not mention that I will, that always really stood out to me is the retention rate of middle school students who I have a incoming ninth grader, so I understand how hard it is to keep them engaged in things, especially academic. The retention rate for the students that attend AIM High is incredibly high. I mean, year over year. And also the number of students that go from student participants into junior teachers, into actually staff teachers, into, I think, Mariela Bolaños.
Aspiring teacher fellow.
Right. She ran the program this year and is actually going through their program on the aspiring teachers and has come all the way through. So anyway, I just can't speak enough of my gratitude for AIM High and being here in our community. So thank you. Good to see you guys.
Thank you, Laura. Anyone else from the public? Okay, let's open it up to the board. Any comments or questions?
Is the website address up there correct, or is it a misspelling on your slide?
That's a misspelling.
Okay.
There should be a H right here.
Okay.
Thank you for catching that.
Well, I want to look it up.
Yeah.
And, I do have a second question. The slide that showed the data of the percentages of the success you've had in the various areas, is this, how widespread is that information? Is that just Tahoe Truckee, or is that all the programs?
We do disaggregate based on site, but this is all our sites combined.
Okay, and how widespread is this program? Like
So
geographically?
We are 16 sites. We're scattered all across the Bay Area. We're in San Jose, we're in Richmond, we're in Novato, we're in Napa.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Please run for president. I
Thank you.
can't even say how impressed I am with everything that you bring to the table, Jesus. It's so wonderful to actually, like, the enthusiasm that you bring is palpable. You could cut it with a knife, and it's for a very good reason. For a very good reason, because what your group is doing, what AIM High is doing, is really honing in on a group of children who are at most risk for summer slide, all the risk factors that present themselves during high school. And you're mitigating that by exactly what you said, helping them understand that there's a reason to be positive about the future. And there are a lot of reasons, especially for children whose families, whether they're like the first generation kids going to college or aspiring to go to college, it helps them actually visualize it happening instead of sort of talking about it at the kitchen table and then nothing ever happening, right? I too am also the first university graduate in my family, so I know exactly how much of an impact that makes on everyone that comes behind you in your family. It does change the trajectory, and it's really huge. I have been a school board member since 2009, and I had the 2008 actually, November, and I had the great privilege of being able to go down with Alec Lee to Lick Wilmerding High School in San Francisco.
It's our first site.
Yeah. And that was, at that time, one of the only ones, I believe. And we were sort of exploring, should we bring this up here? And I think after that visit, we were spent the entire drive home talking about how excited we were about bringing it up here. And that was sort of the launching. And clearly, it's making just huge impacts on our graduation rates, the decreasing our teenage pregnancy rates. Sorry, Cindy. And also the bilingual, what is it called? The bilingual completion, where biliterate completion, which so many of our high school graduates are now graduating with a tremendous sense of pride. So thank you so much for coming. Please come back again. And congratulations.
Thank you, Kristen. I don't know if I'm able to respond, but if I may, Kristen, there's so much to be hopeful about. And Laura mentioned really well, one of the great sources of pride for me is that we don't just create a counter narrative for students, but we are actively trying to recruit aspiring educators. We create an organic leadership cycle. As Laura mentioned, many of our students come back as volunteers. Then they end up becoming our high school teaching assistants. Then they end up becoming our college teaching assistants, our lead teachers, our site directors, and then eventually, hopefully, they join the education profession, and they implement our model, our philosophy, our strategies, our tactics, which is we have to work backwards from what does the whole child need and how do we differentiate based on the unique students the unique needs that every student brings. Yeah.
So I sort of had a first experience as well. I used to sit on the Board of Excellence in Education, and I was at the meeting. It was my very first meeting. I don't know if you remember this, but Dr. Leary's never let me forget it. It was my very first meeting as a board member and of Excellence in Ed, and Aim High was presenting for, I don't remember if it was a vote or a support, and I had an out-of-body experience when the person that presented, I was like, this makes so much sense, you know? And, I mean, first meeting ever, I actually had a comment, it's like, what is happening? That's not okay. But I was so excited about the program, and then fast forward, my daughter has had friends that have participated in it, and acquaintances that have participated in it, and they're all so excited. It's not a burden like you're going to summer school. You know, it's very, very engaging the way that you've designed it, modeled it. And it makes total sense that it's part of our district because we're aligned with so many of the same beliefs, right, for our students. Yeah, I just thank you for coming and presenting, and I'm very happy that we're able to support it and that our community's students are partaking in it.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be in front of you today and share a little bit about what we do.
Of course. Anyone else? Okay.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Okay, next presentation.
For this presentation, our Assistant Superintendent, Chief Business Officer, Todd Rivera, will do the introductions.
Thank you, Superintendent Kramer. Members of the board, sorry, I always forget that part. So tonight we get the honor and to celebrate our amazing transportation department. Most of you are aware of the lengths that they go to make sure our students get to school safely on a daily basis. You know, in our district, we've always really, you know, been proud of our transportation department, and just knowing that in our geography and climate, transportation is one of the things that gets a good portion of our students to school every day, otherwise they may not attend. So at times throughout our district, pre-COVID and pre-staffing challenges, up to 75% of our students rode home from school transportation on a daily basis, either to or from school. That's changed a little bit with the staffing shortage, it's a little less now, but still a great deal of number of students rely on our transportation program on a daily basis. One thing I can also say about our transportation staff is it's always a team effort. It takes a lot to operate a transportation department of our size and be so self-sufficient. For our district size, our transportation is extremely robust, and we're very proud of them. And with that, I'd like to introduce Tony Levezzo, our Director of Transportation, to come and provide some of those highlights about his department.
All right, thank you, Todd. Let me make sure I know which button to press. Thank you, Todd. Superintendent Kramer, board members, I appreciate you having me today to highlight and spotlight our wonderful transportation department. And again, I'd like to thank you from our department, the ongoing, and it's been continual support and dedication that this district has made to student transportation and made it a priority for our students in the area. So I'm going to kind of go through our operation, kind of a little bit of who's there and the people that make it happen. and also stuff that we've done with replacing buses, and also stuff that we've done with kind of what our drivers do every day. So I'm the Director of Transportation. My name's Tony Levezzo. I've been in the position beginning of this year. I took over for Nanette Rondo, who retired. She did a wonderful job for over 20 years in transportation, so we're continuing that legacy. Some other, just so I can stay on task, a couple new faces that we have in the department. We have a new admin assistant, Kelly Anderson. She started out as a dispatcher. She runs, of course, all of our budget, paying all our bills, also managing bus passes for all of our students, and making sure they're printed and able to get there. We also have our trainer, Angela Nahara. We do have one vacant trainer position. We used to have two, but we have Angela, who manages the training for all of our bus drivers, also manages the paperwork and licensing requirements for drivers throughout the district. So if you're a volunteer driver, if you're a coach, making sure that your license is good and you don't have any, and you're safe to transport students for our district. We also have our lead dispatcher and trip scheduler, Hugo Nahara. He's been with the department for over 10 years, does a lot of our routing, a lot of our dispatching. He also schedules all our trips, which we do a lot of trips for high school sports and any other trips, and that are trips that are not within the school bus. So he also works with booking charter buses for our sports teams, renting SUVs for our sports teams for high school, and managing all that and all those other great opportunities that our students get to have within this district. We have also another dispatch position that's vacant right now. It was the one that Kelly was in, which actually we're doing interviews for tomorrow. So if this was 1 week later, it possibly could have had another picture on there. We also have a garage staff. New to the position there, it was my old position, is Ricky Cooper. He came up from being a mechanic within the district with a ton of experience, who is now managing the fleet. He oversees 2 mechanics, 2 vehicle service workers, and over 75 pieces of equipment. Not only does our maintenance department manage the yellow school bus, we also repair all of the district vehicles, so all the vans that maintenance uses, all the snow removal equipment, all the way down to the smaller lawn mowers and anything like that need to be repaired, are all brought in-house within our department. Our in-house maintenance program, we have over 30 school buses and over 30 district vehicles, and then also those other pieces of equipment we talked about. A lot of Honda snow blowers. I believe we're at over 35 Honda snow blowers that we service every year. All that stuff, when it breaks, we don't just take it to a shop. We bring it in-house. Brings a turnaround a lot faster, being able to keep our schools cleared out. 99% of the maintenance that we do is in-house. When I began with the district in that position, I brought a lot of that stuff in, and it's continued with Ricky. So we pride ourselves with being able to do a lot of our own maintenance in-house. It allows us to, of course, save money with outside repairs, which keeps Todd happy. And then also it helps us with uptime with our vehicles, so we can always have as many vehicles available for our students as possible. And then bus replacements. We've been very aggressive with grants and funding for bus replacements. From when I started until I moved into my new position, we had 8 clean diesel replacements and 4 EV bus replacements, totaling over $1.5 million in grant funding for transportation. Of course, some of that involved money that came from the district as well, but 1.5 million of that was grant money for replacement of vehicles. And then continuing with that, Ricky, this year we have added another diesel school bus on grant funding and 2 more EV buses, which is almost totaling, I believe we're at $950,000 for that round of grant funding for upcoming replacements. So our current fleet, we have 35 school buses, 7 of them are spares, and 4 of them are EVs. We also, 27 of them are the transit school buses, so the big, long, flat-nosed school buses. And then we have 8 conventional wheelchair buses. So those we use for special ed, and we also use for other routes where we have smaller capacities. Right now, which we've also worked really hard using our grant funding, our average age of our buses is 7 years. When I started, I believe it was at I think 13 years old. So we've brought that average age a lot further down, bringing maintenance costs down, and also increasing safety with newer buses for our students. So I kind of wanted to go over, just for the board, just kind of a day in the life of a school bus driver, really the staff that makes it happen for all of our students. So our drivers, they start very early, 5:30 in the morning when we have weather. Of course, it could be much earlier, depending on road conditions. We've had them come in as early as 5, and some of them are dedicated employees that, even though we're asking them to come in at 5, they're there at 4:45 getting ready to go. So they'll check in with dispatch every morning, making sure they have any route updates, any road condition updates, anything that they need to do to make sure that we're safely transporting students. Once they do that, all bus drivers, they're commercial drivers, they're required to do a pre-trip inspection of the bus. It takes about a half hour. They inspect the entire bus for safety every day, making sure that there's no issues and reporting anything like that. They're also showing up early. And showing up early, for example, in this photo, is Laura putting on tire chains, which we'll have to do in the winter, which all of our bus drivers do on their own, putting chains on and taking chains off, making sure that they're arriving early enough to have that done and be able to make it on their route on time and safely for our students. Once our route, we recognize that for the majority of our students, that the bus driver is the first face they're seeing of a district employee welcoming them to school. And we like to make sure that our drivers are welcoming all of our students on the bus and giving them that safe, happy face that's starting their day off for the district. So each driver they'll transport hundreds of students without the morning. They'll start off with a high school route, and then which will be, some of the routes are high school and middle school going to school at the same time. Some are middle school only. Some are high school only. They'll drop that off. They'll go pick up elementary. They'll possibly have to, after that, go pick up a preschool route or a transitional program route. So they're responsible for many different types of students. Some districts have, this is an elementary driver, this is a high school driver. Our drivers drive all of our students. And that's why I want to highlight the importance of our bell schedules and us working with our schools, which work really well with us, to make sure that we can tier our bell schedules. So with our limited staffing, we can utilize that driver to transport as many students as possible. So they'll get done taking a group of high schoolers to school, be able to go and grab elementary schoolers with that same bus and go drop them off. So it's very great that we work in a district where everybody can collaborate so well to make sure that even during staffing shortages and staffing issues that everybody's dealing with, we can make sure we can support and service as many students as possible. And then, of course, at the end of the day, our drivers return, and it goes the other way in reverse. They're getting the students at school, they're taking them home, but there are a few other challenges that they do have to deal with. The drivers have to know and build a relationship with their students. We do have bus passes that show where they're going, but also knowing, okay, this student needs to be met. Knowing the age, the grade level of the student, because we're not going to leave a kindergartner unattended without a parent at a bus stop, and knowing where they go and what they do. So our drivers really take pride in knowing their students and making sure that we know that they're getting home safely every day. I need to get new glasses, then I wouldn't have to turn around to make sure which slide I'm on because I'm trying to do it all the way over there. So one of the things that we've also prided ourselves on, is that we've continually been improving our fleet and cleaning up our fleet for the environment and respecting the unique ecosystem that we do operate in, which is the Tahoe region. So in 2024, we received our first 4 EV buses, which we're very happy that we have had them en route, and we operated them for the end of the school year. And it's an ongoing showing of our commitment to clean vehicles. Not only with EV vehicles, due to our unique area of transporting in a district over 720 square miles, we have to be creative and utilize other technologies as well. So even though we have got EV buses, we've also been replacing our older diesel buses with cleaner diesel buses. So this is kind of a graph. It's not kind of a graph. It is a graph. This is a graph showing how much pollution that we have lowered in the district from 2005, and this includes all facets of transportation. So the majority of what we have done with the environment is also replacing our older dirty diesel buses with cleaner diesel buses, and now with EV, and making sure that we can utilize our cleaner diesel buses and our EV buses to continually drive that graph further down and continue to improve our environmental impact on our routes, especially in our region. So I talked about a little bit in the other stuff that we maintain, and I kind of want to highlight the other stuff that our department also maintains and oversees. Not only do we take care of the yellow school bus and taking the students to and from school, we also have 7 athletic vans / school vehicles, student service vehicles and stuff like that. We have 3 food service vehicles, 15 maintenance vehicles. Those are like plumber vans and HVAC and all those type of vehicles. We also have 3 for the tech department for going to sites and being able to update that type of equipment. We have 4 transportation vehicles that aren't school buses. So we do have some small SUVs for very unique special ed routes that we have to service. Also service vehicles for our department. We also have 2 warehouse vehicles for delivering everything within our expansive district. And all of these are maintained and overseen by not only the department, but transportation, for making sure that they are operational for the behind the scenes of the district. We also deal with, and it's been also but we also maintain and look after an expanding amount of equipment that we deal with to keep our schools clean. A lot of these have expanded in the last 5 years with additional snow removal equipment, which is spread throughout the site. And as you know, and then Kirsten and then Todd, when we're on the snow day calls of checking in on this equipment, making sure it's being done so we can make sure we can open school during our winter months, that these are very critical. And these are items that transportation makes sure we're taking care of and maintaining so we can keep our schools open in those weather events. So we have 3 large loaders, 4 trackless snow blowers, 3 compact Kubota snow blowers. We also have UTV, forklift, and then all that other small stuff. So we're talking 50 plus of lawn mowers, trimmers, and of course the Honda snow blowers. UTV's like a side-by-side little vehicle. Like they use them on the football field for doing spreading fertilizer. They'll use them for moving stuff back and forth for football games, stuff like that. Kind of like a golf cart, but a little bigger. So here's kind of our stats for 23-24. We did 408,000 miles. Of those, the trip miles were 30,000 miles, and we had over 2,500 unique riders of the school bus, not including, those are unique bus pass holders. That doesn't include our athletes that got on our buses for field trips. Trip miles are for field trips and for, for athletic events and stuff like that. So this is our cost of transportation. These are numbers that I got from our financial service department and what was budgeted for last year. We do have one of the larger budgets in the district, but for our expansive amount of transportation and what we do maintaining and overseeing things, our general ed budget is 2.9 million, and our special education budget is, see, I need glasses, 1.1. It looks like a 9 from here. That would be a big difference. So moving forward, here's some challenges that we're overcoming and we're dealing with moving forward, which I'm actually happy to announce. Not only do we have interviews for a new dispatcher tomorrow, we had one of our trainees that was training over the summer pass and get his school bus certificate today. So that adds a driver, and we have 2 more starting on Monday to start their training. So we are seeing an uptick in hiring and in applicants, which is very exciting that we get to move forward and continue filling those spots. The training of school bus driver is very extensive. It does take a couple months to get them through the process. So even though we have applicants, even though we'd love to put them right there, it's still a couple months out, so we still have to deal with the challenges. Right now, we are down 6 drivers, 1 bus aide, 1 dispatcher, and 1 heavy-duty diesel mechanic. We are taking applicants. We've had a lot more driver applicants lately, some bus aide applicants, of course, dispatcher applicants. One of the hardest to find right now is definitely the diesel mechanic position, and that's kind of an industry-wide issue of a lack of mechanics, and we're working very hard to continually look at different options for attracting those positions. So with that, that's my last slide. I really appreciate you again for having me here to highlight our amazing department and all of our drivers who do so much great work for the district and our students taking them to and from school.
Thank you. Really looking forward to our visit next week, right? It's next week?
Yes.
Yeah. I want to open it up to the public. Is there any public comment? Okay. How about the board? Comments, questions?
Yeah, Tony, I think what our transportation department manages to accomplish is nothing short of a miracle, really. And I brag on our department all the time. And what you manage to accomplish during the winter months, especially, I think is remarkable. When I see the trouble at other districts like ours in the snow, or even at lower elevations with less snow, face and have trouble with. You guys are great. You guys do a great job. I have a couple questions, and these are just out of curiosity. This is not. I'm not trying to get at anything here, but the lifespan of a bus approximately 7 years. How many miles is that?
Well, the lifespan of the bus is longer than 7 years. When I think you're referring to where I said average age, that's just the average age of our bus right now is 7 years old.
Oh, okay. I thought we were
The average
retiring them after about 7 years.
No, we're
No.
right now we're at about that 10-year range, that 10 to 15-year range, but we look more at miles as well. So once we're hitting around 300,000 and get to that 10 to 15-year range.
Okay, I misunderstood that slide then. Okay, great. That's a lot of miles. And when drivers install and deinstall chains, do they ever have to do it en route?
Yes.
Yes.
There will be, our dispatch does a really good job of trying to notify them so they can get it done early at the yard, or even if an afternoon storm comes in, letting them know, do it at a school site. But there's always situations, as you know, growing up or being here for so long, that it could be beautiful over here in Glenshire and you get right over here to Sierra Meadows and it's a foot of snow. So
Yeah, I mean, having installed chains on a car, which is not nearly the same, I know that, having to do that out on the road has got to be, I don't know, nerve-wracking, to say the least.
Yeah.
And I'm really impressed that they...
We have amazing drivers that...
All right,
that do
thanks,
that.
Tony.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I just am always marveling at the degree of complexity of your department, and previously Nanette's department that you inherited from such a queen. And welcome to your new position, by the way. Congratulations. And just, again, just to echo what Pat said, the 750 square mile radius thing, anytime I'm like explaining that to anyone, they literally can't even, like, they're like, are you even serious about that? And it's like, yeah, because we're rural, we're isolated, our campuses are connected by these long highways that go on forever, and they're really long in the winter. So please pass on to your team how proud we are of everyone, and that to have a wonderful school year. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. I will, and I appreciate everything you guys do to support transportation.
Thank you. I don't have any questions. I'm excited about next week. I always like visiting your site, and it sounds like we'll be able to see the garages and all of that more so than we've done in the past. So looking forward to that.
Me as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now on to the superintendent report.
Thank you, Clerk Hennessy. As we're gearing up for the start of the new school year, my update this evening will provide an overview of our Year 2 actions for our district strategic plan. We're starting Year 2 of a 3-year plan, and our focus remains to engage and empower students, educators, and staff to achieve their potential. And the plan has 3 core areas: academic achievement, support systems, and community connections. And I'm going to really do a very, very high-level overview. The majority of these actions are extensions from Year 1. A couple launch and off from where we were. I am happy to answer any questions at the end, but I just wanted to give a broad overview. And as you know, we will update you frequently during the superintendent's update as we work on these actions during the school year. So, in academic achievement, priority 1, the focus is on curriculum and instruction. And the first action for Year 2 is implementing the newly adopted math curriculum. And the second action is collecting data on the academic discourse strategies that our staff refamiliarized themselves with last year. And that data will just help them get a sense of what the impact is on our learners and how it is improving the classroom environment. The second priority in academic achievement is about our staff and making sure that we're retaining and recruiting high-quality staff and supporting them. So the first action is a result of my listening and learning tour last year. Our classified staff are very interested in having professional development opportunities so they can continue to grow. That has been in place for certificated and kind of part of renewing your teaching certificate. So that's historically districts have plans for that, but our classified staff is very interested. So we're going to explore that. Our second action is just building on the professional development that we have been working on. We are going to continue the collaboration as different teams are interested. As you know, they did over 100 different collaboration groups, thanks to Ed Services. And we're still refining and focusing on our literacy intervention program, kindergarten through high school. And of course, our English learners continue to be a focus, different strategies, and we continue to partner with PCOE on professional development. And the third action is launching a new online evaluation system. We know how important feedback is for our staff, and we're excited to have an updated tool to make that process even more rewarding and streamlined. The third priority in academic achievement, this is about the students and making sure they have opportunities to explore areas of academic and personal interests. So our first action is getting a system in place for work-based learning and internships. Many of our local businesses are excited about having students come on site, and we need to get some systems in place to support that. And the second action is continuing to have our CTE, our Career Technical Education educators, working together. We're working on that vertical articulation from elementary, middle to high school, so students get exposed to our incredible pathways early, get little samplings so that then they know more of what's available in high school. Then we move to our second core area, which is support systems. The first priority for this area is about supporting our students. So action one, so you know we have an incredible, robust wellness program. And so we want to start evaluating more closely the impact it's having and the effectiveness. Our second action is our social emotional learning committee. It's going to look at the screening tools we have in place and our curriculum, elementary, middle, and high school, to see if it's meeting the needs of our students and our staff. So they're going to kind of do a check-in and all of that. And the third action for this priority is continuing to work on our attendance supports and behavior supports, because we want to increase student positive attendance, get kids here at school, and decrease suspension rates. Our second priority for support systems is all about student voice and engagement. And I'm very excited about Action 1. We had a great positive experience on our Parent Superintendent Advisory Committee last year by having high school student representatives participate. So Executive Cabinet got excited about having students participate. We don't know our rhythm yet, but helping advise us on policy that directly impacts them. And then the second action is those social emotional learning committees will also not just collaborate at their sites, but across grade bands, again, looking at that vertical articulation. How does the program in elementary support middle, then into high school? Our third priority area for support systems is about staff and our facilities and infrastructure. And so the first action is we have this amazing facility master plan. So we will be working on identifying some of the priority projects that we do have funding for that we can get started on in the next couple of years. The second action is to implement the recommendations that came out of the COM committee last year to address staff morale and well-being. And the third action is to keep updating our emergency operation plans. Many of us were trained over the summer in Alice, and we're now able to redeliver that instruction to our staff. So that district committee will help figure out our rhythm of those emergency trainings. Then we move to community connections. And the first priority is building that sense of belonging and inclusion for all of our students, staff, and educators. And as you know, this was the set of actions that we really didn't get off the ground. They were too ambitious. We needed to gather more information. So we decided to hone in on one action this year, is really working to identify the needs before we develop the plan. We have some great baseline data from our wellness survey, morale survey last fall, and also from our LCAP survey the last 2 years. So we're going to dig into that and figure out what else we need to know so that we can address this in a purposeful way. Our second priority, this is about communicating with our families and parents, and then making sure that transition points are smooth. So our first action, we had great success focusing on the TK to Kinder transition this past school year, and we want to explore and understand more what the needs are for students going from elementary to middle and then middle to high, or switching in and out of programs. So we're going to do a comprehensive needs assessment about those transition points so that, again, we can create a plan that really addresses the needs that the report will identify. And then the second action is a huge one. As you know, our district has been a part of the Community Engagement Initiative called CEI with the state of California. And our North Tahoe schools, both middle and high, were our pilot sites. And it was wildly successful. So we're very excited to expand it district-wide this year. And that's all about developing two-way communication and making sure that we're developing our family partnerships in a very meaningful way. And then the final priority, this is about making sure our community-based partnerships are solid and everyone feels that they're connected and know their purpose. And then the second one of this is the student outdoor learning experience, which is very important to all of us. We had an incredibly dedicated work group last year, and they identified challenges. So now this year, our work group is going to look at how do we address those challenges and how do we develop a guaranteed and viable curriculum of outdoor education. What do we want to make sure all first graders experience, no matter what site you're at? What do we want all seventh graders and so on, so that we really have a good articulation and that there's equity and it's not based on just teacher interest or availability of parent drivers and so on. Okay, so that was a very quick overview, but again, I will report out on these actions as we go, and it's a living process, so if we need to modify anything, I'll certainly bring it back to you, but we're excited to keep building on what we accomplished last year. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to talk more.
Questions, comments?
No questions, but thank you for keeping us updated on this at each board meeting. It's nice to be refreshed and to see where we're going. Thank you.
And can you remind us, is this document available on the district website?
It is, I believe, in a couple different places. It is one of the, if you scroll down part way, we've highlighted the district strategic plan. I'm looking at Amber. What's the name of that section?
It's the main section under our board.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but it is.
Yeah, I just wanted families to
Right,
know
yeah.
that if you need help, you can call the district and we'll help you find it. But if you look in there, pardon? Okay, link on the homepage if anyone wants to look this over again. Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you for this review. And now if we could, we're moving on to item 10.0, grants.
And for this item, it is my pleasure to introduce Laura Brown, our Executive Director of the Excellence in Education Foundation.
Big check.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. So again, my name's Laura Brown, and I'm the Executive Director with the Excellence in Education Foundation. And thank you for giving us the time tonight. This is, I'm here to present the check for our most recent grant cycle, which was actually our spring grant cycle, but we award the grant money now so that it falls into the current fiscal year. So just a super quick review, especially for those that are not familiar with our process. Teachers are able to apply to grants or apply for a grant in the spring, and then the grants are then reviewed by the site principal. The principal then approves the grant to move forward to go to our board, and also to confirm that there aren't other site funds or funds available for the request. At that time, the grants move on to the site council, where the site council is able to weigh in on the grants in a priority ranking, and the teachers also present their grant to the site council to be able to answer any questions. This is super valuable information that comes back to our board. It just lets us know a school site's, priorities or any maybe inside knowledge that we weren't aware of. And then finally, our grant committee, our Excellence in Education grant committee, spends literally hours going through, reading the grants, discussing the grants with the site liaison, kind of weighing in on the information they know. And then it comes to our full board for approval of the proposed grants or recommended grants in June, at which point we let the teachers know at the end of the school year whether or not they were funded. And then the money now, the request comes to you now to accept the funds so that they can be put into place for the new school year. So we received 67 grant applications requesting over $213, and of those we were able to fund 60 of them for a total of $190,700. I have a hard time saying numbers that big. $190,700 $38,748. And of the grants not funded by Excellence in Education, I'm pleased to report we were able to work with the PTOs on 3 of them, and I believe the PTOs are able to fund them. One was actually funded by the district as part of the district's literacy plan. One, there was a change of teachers, so we're actually hoping to be able to work with the new teacher on being able to fulfill the request. And then there were 2 that didn't quite meet our criteria. So pleased to report that most of the grant requests that came to us were funded or are being supported. Overall themes, we saw a lot of requests for literacy. We had about $38,000 worth of supplemental books that we supported. And as the district has moved to the science of reading, what we're finding is that we've seen a real uptick in the requests for decodable readers, especially at the elementary level and even into the middle school. Math and science was another large category. We funded about $75,000 in requests. A big one being graphing calculators for both high schools. Together, we were able to fund 255 graphing calculators. We were able to we received 2 independent grant requests from North Tahoe High and from Truckee High. And this is one thing I love about being able to have kind of this holistic view. We were able to work together, get the same graphing calculator for both high schools, and then be able to place one bulk order. And we were able to bring Mr. Hilton in on that as well, just to make sure that it was meeting district needs. And then another big one that I'm really excited about was actually for the Truckee High School science courses. And I'm not sure I'm saying this correctly, an anatomage tablet. And it gives students access to 2 real human cadavers. There's a male and a female one in 3-dimensional format. And the tablet can be used, you can dissect the cadavers in any manner, left to right, anterior, posterior, rotated at different views. It allows you to look at 11 major body systems. And it also gives the students access to 71 different 3-dimensional videos, as well as 300 real patient CT and MRI scans of both normal anatomy and also pathology unique diseases. And so this will benefit the students in the forensic science, biomedical sciences, human science system courses, and I'm sure many others. So I highlight this one because I think our board always likes to fund the things we consider icing on the cake. And this one, to me, lands right in that category. It was an expensive purchase, but one that really is a tool that will bring learning to life. Another cool grant was for music production software for a new course at North Tahoe High School. We always love seeing the cross-district collaboration. We were able to fund climate action robotic kits that were submitted for both ACMS and North Tahoe School. Both teachers had attended the Q conference together and both applied for that grant. And then also, kiln at Donner Trail, equipment for age-appropriate materials for the expanding TK classes. We definitely saw some things in that category. And a new lat exercise machine for ACMS. So you have, I believe, a list of all of the grants with a short narrative behind each one as well. But all totaled, we are asking you tonight for your acceptance of a grant contribution of $186,819 to support 53 TTUSD specific grants. And I will just side note, we have a separate check for cells, separately representing the 7 grants that they are receiving for $3,930. So that's where the discrepancy between the 186 and the 190. So tonight, I would first ask if there's any questions, and then if not, if there is acceptance for, I'm going to maneuver here.
Very grateful, for sure. Yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, definitely your organization, Laura, each and every year helps us remain current, helps education react to all of the different technologies that are available. and keep up, because it's all changing so fast, so quickly, especially the tech piece, that anatomy thing. I mean, I can't even imagine having access to something like that in high school, you know? We were playing Operation, and I thought that was exciting, right? But just please pass on to your board and to your team. Thank you so much for all of your support of our district. It's really incredible. And our teachers are all, I know, extremely grateful. Thank you. And also, when you mentioned that like 2 teachers attended a professional development conference together, and then they both came back and said, wow, we want to actually purchase some of these items, it really helps to make the connection, the circular connection between professional development and implementation at the practice level. So that's really a big takeaway from your presentation tonight.
Oh, good.
I'm running out of gas. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
sorry.
you. Yeah.
Well, so I very recently had to describe the district, and one of the words I used that I feel that we are constantly striving to be is innovative, and it's because of Excellence in Education's financial commitment to our teaching staff that I feel we can be that, and so really, really thankful. Yeah, thank you. So let's take a vote so we can accept the.
I'm sorry, I said I didn't have questions, but didn't mean I didn't have
Go.
comments. But I know that I was a recipient of an Excellent Ed grant, I think in the first year or so back. When was that, 95 or something like that? And so I know it's been around forever, and I know that it takes a lot of effort and generosity on the part of a lot of people to make this happen. There's Laura, yourself, and your other Excellence in Ed colleagues who put in timeless hours, I'm sure, making all of this happen. And then there are the members of our community who do the ski days and the golf passes, and I don't know what there's other things, and a lot of money that comes in from the community to make this happen. And I'm so glad to see how this has flourished from its early days and sort of taken on a life of its own. The totals that I'm looking at here are they're unreal. It's such a great benefit to the kids of our school district, and thanks so much for heading it up and for helping to make this happen. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you, and thank you for bringing that up too. It really is the community support and investment in the foundation that then in turn allows us to be able to invest in our students, so thank you.
So Trustee Mooney, with that, would you like to make a motion to accept this grant?
Gladly, yeah. I will move to accept this most generous and spectacular donation from Excellence in Education.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great.
Yay.
All right, so I've got the photo op check, I was gonna say.
Where do you want to go, Superintendent?
If we don't mind lining up like we do with retirees.
I know, there we go.
Ready?
Thank you, and then I will give, that's the cash one.
Board members, staff, and community members, it is with deep gratitude that we recognize Laura Brown tonight for her significant and impactful contributions to our educational community. Laura Brown has been an Executive Director of Excellence in Education for nearly 20 years, just 1 month away, and has accomplished so much on behalf of the Tahoe Truckee Unified School District staff, students, and families. To put a number to this, to date, Excellence in Education has funded more than $5.8 million in educational grants to TTUSD, making a lasting impact on our community. In addition to the incredible financial support from the foundation, Laura's unique leadership style has been a beacon of inspiration. Her ability to continuously develop networks and advocate tirelessly for TTUSD is a testament to her dedication and passion. During my update earlier this evening, I spoke about community connections. Laura, you are the cornerstone of community connections. Your willingness to be a thought partner and participate in numerous committees and task force has strengthened the learning experiences of our students. Something that I value so much about your leadership is your talent for holding numerous perspectives at once and championing those most in need. Your ability to bring people together and harness creative energy towards a common vision is incredible and has laid a foundation for strong community connections. Your kindness, vision, and dedication have positively impacted all of us. We will miss you, but please know you've created an enduring system that will continue to drive innovation, spark excitement, and support the enhancement of TTUSD for all of your students. Thank you for all you've done. It's been an honor working with you. So, if you would like to, the board, if you don't mind, we'll do another picture and we have something for you.
Thank you. And I'm, a couple more months in my role, but yes, I am after 20 years. Bittersweet, but I will be transitioning out of this role, and I'm happy to say that the board has transition plans in place, and we'll be here through November, so thank you.
We'll see you before November.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Oh my gosh, that's gorgeous. Thank you.
I just want to thank you not only for all the things you've done for Tahoe Truckee Unified School District from our K through 12, but being a champion with our 0 to 5 community and sitting on all the other committees you sitting on some of the committees with me, and the work that you've done in supporting, helping make preschool summer programming happen and expanding our family room summer programming. And you're just like a champion of just always like, okay, what can we do? What can we do? So I will miss working with you in that capacity, but I'm excited for you. And thanks for everything that you've done for all of us.
Thanks.
I appreciate you.
Well, okay. So let's move along to donations.
We do have an incredibly generous community. And so for this next item, it is my pleasure to introduce our Assistant Superintendent of Educational Service, Mrs. Shawn Roderick.
Thank you, Superintendent Kramer. Good evening, Clerk Hennessy and Board of Trustees. Excellent in Education has generously donated $3,000 for take-home reading books for TTUSD students. This donation will be used to provide students who attend the parent workshops with a book of their choice for home reading. It is the staff's recommendation the Board of Trustees accepts this generous donation on behalf of the Educational Service Department.
Again, thank you to Excellence in Education. Could we get a motion to accept this donation, please?
I will move to accept the donation from Excellence in Education.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And for our next next item, we turn to Mr. Rivera.
Thank you. So as you know, Sierra Watershed Education Partnerships, or SWEP as it's more commonly known, has been a strong partner of the district over the years, and really supports and helps the district in expanding our sustainable practices within the school district. We have waste diversion contracts with them. They also manage our green teams, but in addition to that, they also oftentimes apply for grants on behalf of the district. So SWEP had applied for a grant through the Tahoe Truckee Airport District a couple years back and received funding for that. So this donation is actually indirectly from Tahoe Truckee Airport District, but is being donated by SWEP. They receive the funding, and the purpose of this is really to increase sustainable practices within our food service program. This includes money to purchase reusable cups, utensils, serving trays, and other tools to reduce meal and food waste district-wide. So this is for the amount of $12,173.38.
Okay, great. Could we get a motion to accept that
I'll
donation?
move to accept the donation from Sierra Watershed Education Partnerships.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
And for our next donation item, we turn back to Mrs. Roderick.
Thank you, Superintendent Kramer. The Truckee Donner Land Trust has generously donated $3,000 for the Sage Hen Outdoor Education Program. This donation will provide local students access to standard-based learning environment in their own backyard. Students learn a variety of skills and gain knowledge about many different topics. It is the staff's recommendation the Board of Trustees accepts this generous donation on behalf of the Educational Service Department.
Okay, can I get a motion, please?
I'll accept the donation from the Truckee Donner Land Trust.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Next.
And our next item, Mrs. Roderick.
Thank you, Superintendent Kramer. The Shane McConkey Foundation has generously awarded $1,500 toward environmental science funding for Truckee Elementary School for winning in the Shane McConkey Eco Challenge in the Green Circle category. The donation will be used for instruction and learning at Truckee Elementary School. It is the staff's recommendation the Board of Trustees accepts this generous donation on behalf of the Educational Service Department.
Thank you. Can we get a motion?
I will move to accept the Shane McConkey Foundation donation.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
And for our next item, Mrs. Roderick.
Thank you, Superintendent Kramer. The Truckee Optimists generously granted $1,000 to purchase Nintendo Switches, kickstarting the eSports Club. Esports, or electronic sports, is a rapidly growing $1.5 billion industry offering collegiate scholarships. While often associated with gaming, esports mirrors traditional sports teams in terms of competition, strategy, teamwork, leadership, and practice. Beyond competing, students can contribute through roles like sportscasting, event planning, marketing, journalism, and fostering a sense of shared purposes. It is the staff's recommendation to the Board of Trustees to accept this generous donation on behalf of the Educational Service Department.
Okay, could we get a motion, please?
I will move to accept the donation from Truckee Optimist Club.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And one more.
For this item, we'll ask our Executive Director of Student Services, Dr. Anna Marie Cohen, to speak.
Thank you, Superintendent Kramer. Board of Trustees and Community. Excellence in Education generously donated $4,586 for summer programming at the Family Room in Kings Beach. This donation is used for staffing and supply expenses in order to extend the program throughout the summer. It is staff's recommendation the Board of Trustees accept this generous donation.
I'll move to accept the donation from Excellence in Education and thank all of our community partners for your generous donations.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, well, thank you to all the agencies, clubs, and foundations for your generosity. Thank you, thank you. Okay, at this point in the meeting, we are going to close our special meeting and open up our public hearing. Okay, and with that,
And seeing that we have no public interested to speak.
Oh, thank you for that.
Hennessy, I think we can close the public hearing and reopen.
Okay, so then we will officially close the public hearing and reopen our special meeting for the evening.
And for our item 14.1, we will turn to our Executive Director of Human Resources, Mr. Mike Shepard.
Thank you, Superintendent Kramer, Clerk Hennessy, members of the board, and the Tahoe Truckee community. Each year prior to negotiations, we sunshine our articles or present them to the board for consideration. And tonight we are presenting our openers from TTUSD to CSEA. We're doing this a little earlier this year. Normally we do this in late September, but we're trying to get a jump start on negotiations. So this will, we're recommending approval, which will allow us to begin negotiations. And we're opening with health, welfare, benefits, and salary. And just important to know that we do have 2 additional articles that we are that's available to us to sunshine at a later date should we choose to do so.
Okay, thank you. So with that, could we get a motion to approve the sunshine articles, please?
I'll move to approve the sunshine articles from TTUSD on wages and health and welfare benefits.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Mr. Shepard?
Thank you. 14.2, similarly, we are seeking a recommendation to approve the sunshine openers from TTUSD to TTEA. And once again, we are opening with health and welfare benefits and salary. And so with that, any questions?
Are there any questions? Okay, could we get a motion?
I'll move to approve the sunshine articles from TTUSD to TTEA.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, thank you very much. Okay, and I don't see anyone present from CSEA or TTEA, which makes total sense because it's summer and you should be enjoying yourselves. Okay, are there any items from the consent agenda, Superintendent Kramer, that need to be removed?
None by staff.
Okay, does the board wish to remove anything from the consent agenda? Okay, then if we could get a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for that. And now educational services.
Yes, and for 18.1, we will turn back to Mrs. Roderick.
Thank you, Superintendent Kramer. Good evening, Clerk Hennessy, Board of Trustees, and community. Tonight, I'm presenting a first read of the consolidated application for the 24-25 academic year. The Tahoe Truckee Unified School District is required to review and receive approval from the Board of Education for the application of funding selection on the consolidated application. This is a first read for information only.
Are there any questions from the board regarding this item? Okay, next item, please.
For 18.2, Mrs. Roderick.
Thank you, Superintendent Kramer. I'm presenting an MOU between the Sierra Joint Community College District and Tahoe Truckee Unified School District tonight. Sierra Joint Community College District and Tahoe Truckee Unified School District have formed a partnership to expand educational opportunities and enhance student career readiness. The purpose of this memorandum of understanding is to facilitate dual enrollment opportunities for the Emergency Medical Responder CTE course. This partnership will enable high school students to earn high school and college credits. For the 24-25 academic year, the dual enrollment course will be offered at Truckee High School. We are working with Sierra Community College on options to expand at North Tahoe High School for the 25-26 academic year. The dual enrollment program provides students with hands-on experience and academic knowledge, preparing them for various careers in emergency services. Through this collaboration, we are committed to providing a comprehensive educational experience that equips students with the necessary skills and knowledge to succeed in a high-demand, high-skilled profession. It is the staff's recommendation to approve this MOU.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments about this item? Okay, hearing none, can we get a motion to approve, please?
I'll move to approve the MOU between Sierra College and TTUSD.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And super exciting that we can expand to our other mainstream high school students. Not this year, but next year. Yeah, very exciting. Thank you. Okay, personnel matters.
19.1, Mr. Shepherd.
Thank you. This item is, we're requesting approval of a variable term waiver for Melissa Gianetto. A variable term waiver allows us to cover the assignment with an employee who does not currently meet the full requirements. And this allows us to, while she's applying for an emergency bilingual authorization, this bridges the gap. And so we're also very proud of our long-serving classified employee, Melissa, realizing her further dream of becoming a teacher. So with that, any questions?
Okay, so having no questions, could we approve the variable term waiver request?
I'll move to approve the variable term waiver request.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 19.2, Mr. Shepherd.
Thank you. I'd like to present our first MOU of the year with CSEA, and we're grateful that they partnered with us during their vacation to quickly address our request for this new position of an early learning and enrollment specialist to help families and engage our students and enroll them into our programs. And so this position is a classified position, and we're seeking approval tonight for this new job description.
Any comments or questions about 19.2?
No.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Move to approve the memorandum with CSEA.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great. Next item, please.
19.3, Mr. Shepherd.
Thank you. Per board direction from late June, you approved a salary increase for our superintendent, commensurate with at the same percentage that our management team received as per outlined in her contract. And so this is a verbal reading of her approved salary schedule, and her rate this year on step 3 is, I'm sorry, one second. I almost looked at the wrong page. Her step 3 range this year is $252,326. And with that, we're seeking approval of this modified salary schedule.
Okay, any questions or comments? All right. Can I get a motion?
I'll move to approve the salary schedule for the chief.
Second.
Thank you. CLO, Chief Learning Officer.
There you go. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
It's hard for me to hear you all the way across the, I can't.
It's a little tricky, but without that, I would be melting. I'm having such a difficult time.
Well,
Sorry.
I'm also like stuttering and stalling out like an airplane on the runway. Like, yeah.
All right, 19.4, please.
Mr. Shepherd.
Thank you. CalSTRS, when a teacher retires, there's a 180-day waiting period before they can work part-time or become a substitute. This process that we're seeking for approval tonight is an exemption to allow Michelle Smoljanic, I hope I said her name correctly. She desires to start subbing immediately. And as you know, we often, every day, have unfilled jobs. So there's definitely a need, and we're grateful to Michelle for partially failing at retirement and wanting to come back and help us out. So with that, any questions?
Any
I'd
questions?
love to see more retirees do that.
Yeah, super grateful she's wanting to do that. Okay, can we get a motion to approve this resolution, please?
Your turn, Pat.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to pronounce her name. I will move to approve the resolution requesting for separation of forum service requirement exemption for Michelle.
Nice. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, let's move on to business services.
And for this, we'll turn back to Mr. Rivera.
Thank you. I just have to get the presentation set up. Thank you. So as part of our debt issuance and management board policy, we're required to bring to the board annually a report on our outstanding debt. And that includes all of the principal that's currently outstanding, the current and projected tax rates, and then also take a look at our bonding capacity and how much additional debt we potentially could issue, and then looking at our ratings and some of the other things that are happening in the industry. So with that, taking a look at the current and outstanding debt for the district, the top part of this slide shows our general obligation bonds. So that's all the bonds that we've issued since 1999, going back to Measure C and Measure R. And then moving forward, you'll see some refunding bonds. And essentially what that is refinancing of previous bond measures where we were able to, kind of like refinancing a home loan, you get a better rate, and it's a cost savings to the taxpayers that are responsible for this debt service. And then moving forward into 2014 with our Measure U and Measure E general obligation bonds. So the total original amount of debt that was issued for all the outstanding debt was just under $264 million. Our current outstanding principal, what we still owe investors, is $151,170,870. So we've actually paid off a lot of that principal. The remaining outstanding is mostly measures E and U. And you'll see a lot of the older bond measures will start to retire over the next couple years with the final maturity dates of anything from August 2024 this year to about 2030. And then what will be left on tax bills will just be measures E and U. Also below debt, which is not secured by taxpayers and assessed value, is our certificates of participation. We issued approximately $40 million back in 2019 in order to complete some of our facilities projects that were primarily funded with measures E and U. Currently, our principal outstanding is just under $23 million, and that is debt that we pay the annual debt service with our developer fees. We also paid a fairly large chunk of principal just this past year. When we originally issued the COPs, we were awaiting some state funding for some of those facility projects that we had already completed. So we put some stipulations in there that allowed us to retire some of the COPs a little bit earlier than would normally happen. Usually you have to wait about 7 years, but we were able to retire about $13 million in debt, significantly lowering the debt service. So looking at tax rate information next. Tax rates apply to our general obligation bond measures, and essentially what that means is it's the rate per $100,000 of assessed value. So when you're looking at a tax rate that's $60 per $100,000 assessed value. That would mean if your home value was $200,000, then you would see on your tax bill for Measure U $120 charge, if that makes sense. So right now we have our district kind of split into two distinct areas, which represent our debt that we've issued. SFID number 1, which essentially is the Truckee area, includes all of Nevada County, unincorporated areas of Nevada County, town of Truckee, and then some portions of Placer County that are within kind of the Truckee greater area. And kind of ties a little bit to our elementary attendance boundaries as well. And then SFID number 2, which is our Lakeside SFID. That's where we issued a Measure E, and that really applies to mostly Placer County properties on the lakeside. So looking at that, our current tax rate for SFID number 1 is $50.40 per 100,000 in assessed value. SFID number 2 is $48.70 per $100,000 of assessed value. And one note I'd like to make is this really includes all of the current outstanding debt, so it doesn't really represent Measure E and Measure U specifically. But I did want to highlight that as well because, when we originally went out to taxpayers for Measures U, what we promised voters is that we would not exceed a $48.25 tax rate on just that general obligation bond measure. We're currently sitting at about $31.78. So taxpayers are paying substantially less on a per $100,000 assessed value than they when we originally went out to the election. And then Measure E is similar. We originally promised voters that we wouldn't exceed $29.75 for that debt service. We're at about $21.72. Okay, so looking at the projected tax rates, our financial advisor kind of takes a look at out years. They try to be conservative, and they try to look at a conservative growth rate of about 3.25%. So that means every year they're expecting, when they're doing this analysis and looking at what our tax rates will be in the future, they're anticipating that the assessed value of properties will grow by about 3.25% a year. It's pretty conservative. We've seen better than that, but and then also a 4% unsecured tax delinquency. That's basically properties that don't pay their tax bill. So looking at SFID number 1, you'll see in 2024 that overall rate is kind of at that $50.40 number that we shared earlier. In 2025, it bumps up a little bit. I think some of that's because we're starting to pay a larger portion of the principal on some of that older 1999 debt. And then it drops back down, and it stays below $40 per $100,000 for several years into 2034, and then it takes another dip where it drops below right around $20 per assessed value, and then that goes on to about 2039, where it takes a dip to where it's pretty negligible amount all the way until the debt is fully matured. Starting in 2040, you'll see it's probably in the $1 to $2 per assessed value range by looking at these numbers. SFID number 2 has some similar structures. We'll see a little bit bump up to about $60 per 100,000 over the next couple years, and then it dips well below $40 per $100,000 all the way through 2030, and then takes another dip in 2031 to drop just a little bit above 20, maybe 25. And then takes a more significant dip in 2037 where it's under $20, and it stays there until close to maturity, where in 2042 it drops to a nominal amount. So bonding capacity is another thing that we need to just take a look at and see where the district stands. So our bonding capacity is the limit to how much actual general obligation bond debt that we can have on the books at any one time. And it's a function or a formula that's based on our assessed valuation, so the assessed value of all the properties within our district boundaries, or specifically within our SFID net boundaries. So our total assessed value within our district is just under $32 billion. And from that assessed value number for a unified school district, you multiply that by 2.5%, and that gives you your total bonding capacity. So looking at this, the district has the potential to issue over $791 million in general obligation bond debt. Now, we couldn't issue that all at once, but that's our limit, so to speak. And looking at subtracting from that our outstanding principal that we currently have, we're left with an available bonding capacity of $640,716,647. Credit ratings, the district has always prided itself on getting very high credit ratings. The highest on Moody's is a AAA rating. Our district stands at an AA1 rating, I believe. An AA1 from Moody's, and then a AA rating from Standard & Poor's. So two different rating agencies. Those are extremely high for a school district. Love to see it even higher, but we're doing pretty good. And that's all based on, they do a lot of analysis on the district finances. Even though technically the district finances aren't paying the debt for these general obligation bonds, they still look at that as far as being a fiscally responsible district. And then they look at our local economy and the tax base and the value of properties and what the historical increases have been over time. So we're very fortunate to have these ratings. And then on our COPs, it's always a step below, usually on the ratings, and we're at a AA minus with Standard & Poor's. We only have one rating for that. And part of that is because the district finances are responsible for paying that debt service. So they do a little ding because, it's coming out of our budget. Looking at Treasury yield rates and kind of what the patterns have been, obviously we had some extremely low Treasury rates in the 2019 range, dropped even more during COVID. And then as they were trying to battle inflation, the interest rates rise, and it went from almost to 0% in some cases up to over 5%. So we've seen those fluctuating, but kind of at an increasing rate over the last several months. So we'll have to see what's going to happen, but the projection is that rates will eventually go down, including the Treasury rates. Refunding opportunities, again, this is just opportunities that we can refinance debt and hopefully save our taxpayers some money on the payback of the debt service. Right now, we do have some that would qualify for refunding. However, there isn't enough benefit at this time to really warrant going out and doing a whole refunding process. Also, rates continue to increase, so seeing that spread that you want to see of the savings isn't there right now. So we'll continue to look for opportunities of refinancing. One thing about our 2014 bonds is on all those issuances, we actually had very low rates when we went out to market. So it might be hard to beat those moving forward, but we'll certainly try. So California bond financings. So this is just kind of highlighting what things are looking like in other districts as far as issuing debt. And it looks like in 2024, things like parcel taxes were very successful for other districts. 10 of 11 requested parcel taxes were voted yes. And then looking at the general obligation bond measures, only 24 out of the 40 that were on the ballot in 2024 were successful. And This is a big change from what we've seen in more recent years. We were seeing a lot of general obligation bonds from districts passing at pretty flying rates. So this is kind of changing that trend, and now we're seeing that a lot more difficult in communities to pass bonds. And then the filing agent changes for subsidy-backed financing, that doesn't really impact us. This really applies to qualified school construction bonds, qualified zone academy bonds, which are federally connected. And then looking at potential funding sources in the future for facilities, there was two proposals, Assembly Bill 247 and Senate Bill 28, that wanted to put a statewide school facility bond on the November election. They finally came to some agreement, and it has been determined that there will be a $10 billion bond on the November ballot. And broken down, that would leave $3.3 billion for new construction projects for school facilities, $4 billion for modernization projects, and then $600 million for charter schools, and an additional $600 million for career technical education facilities. Parcel tax approvals by majority vote. There's been a big push over years to try to change parcel tax elections to only need a simple majority vote, meaning 50% plus one. Right now, the requirement is 2/3, and we've felt that struggle sometimes with our Measure AA and previous Measure AA measures, where sometimes it's really hard to get that 2/3 vote. So there was something that passed that said that if the parcel tax was initiated by citizens, not put on by the district, but actual citizens put it on the ballot, that they could require only a simple majority of 50% plus one vote. However, this is being challenged, so they're saying, don't depend on this. So we have to kind of wait and see what's going to happen with that. And then this is just a list of kind of the due diligence and simple requirements as it relates to managing our debt within the district. Is there any questions on this?
No, I don't have any questions. I do want to say that I think I understood most of this time. So thank you for presenting it in a manner that a layperson can understand. I appreciate that. I think what I glean from all of this is that we're in a healthy position right now. Just to comment on it was the San Francisco bond measure. It was a bond measure. Is that what it was?
Parcel tax.
Yeah, parcel tax, not a bond measure, parcel tax. And it's tempting to say, oh, well, I would love to have a 50% threshold, but I think it's important for our district to show that we are managing those funds properly, and that by doing so, we ask for a 2/3 margin to approve, a tax increase or a tax of any kind. So, did this particular citizens group win this? I don't see that up there. Or was theirs put on hold as well? Oh, okay.
It sounds like there's going to be two ballot measures
I got to watch for those. Okay. Thank you, Todd. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much.
And then 20.2, we also turn to Mr. Rivera.
Thank you. So this is another item that we bring to the board annually, and this is an application called dry period financing. So to kind of sum up what that is throughout the year, because there's always a lag in when you receive your funding as opposed to when you're actually incurring expenditures, that sometimes you run into some cash shortfalls, and that's not uncommon for a district. We have built up some pretty substantial cash balances, so it doesn't impact us as much as it had in the past. But for us, especially as a basic aid district, most of our funding is property taxes, and we generally only receive our allocations of property taxes twice a year, around December, January, and then again in April. So we're going through a good portion of the year where we're still spending on all our operations costs, all our staff salaries month to month, but we're not taking in a lot of new money. So generally in our district, usually around October, November, we start to see that cash shortfall happen, possible negative cash in not only our general fund, but also some of our other funds like our school nutrition fund, cafeteria funds, our preschool funds, because a lot of those programs are reimbursement based, so we don't even see the money for a month or two after we submit a reimbursement claim for them. So with that, most districts, in order to address the cash shortfalls that happen throughout the year, is they go out and they issue temporary debt. It's called tax revenue anticipation notes, and there's a cost associated with it every year. They pay interest, so that's another burden on those districts. We are very fortunate in Placer County that our county treasurer actually does what they call dry period financing, which means that as long as we ask for it in advance, they will cover our shortfalls throughout the year. And the only charge to the district really is if we hit a negative cash balance, that they charge us back the interest that would have been earned on that money. So it's a very good deal, very beneficial for the district. So every year we do apply for this. Right now it looks like our cash flow is only showing that we might be short in October, November, about $700,000. I've asked for $4 million just to provide some cushion there.
Okay, this is an action item, so are there any questions or comments for Mr. Rivera? Okay, could we get a motion, please?
I'll move to approve the dry period financing application.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for
And
that.
20.3, please, Mr. Rivera.
Thank you. So if you recall, in November of 2022, the state put on the ballot Proposition 28, which the voters approved. And Proposition 28 was the Arts and Music in Schools Funding Guarantee and Accountability Act. And what that did is it created a new funding source for arts and music in school districts. And specifically what it did is it dedicated 1% of the Proposition 98, which is the main K-12 funding guarantee for schools. 1% of that value would go towards arts and music. And then the the state, once they calculate that amount on an annual basis, that 1% value, that's their bucket in which they allocate to all the districts within California based on a per student amount. And then they even go even further and they allocate the specific amounts to each individual school site. So it's prescribed that essentially the district receives the money, but the money that's been allocated has to be distributed to the school sites as the state has calculated. So all of our school sites in varying amounts, depending on what their enrollment and ADA look like, have a bucket of Proposition 28 money. And the first year that we received this was 2023-24. There was a lot of questions surrounding that funding. There was specific requirements that were prescribed by Proposition 28 that weren't really hadn't been clarified yet. Some of those are that we have to spend 80% of that funding on actual certificated or classified staff. Also, there was a waiver process if you couldn't meet that 80-20 split. And then just a lot of other questions that people had on the accounting of this, because this money is supposed to be supplemental. It's not supposed to supplant existing programs. So there's still a lot of questions with it. We have 3 years to spend the money, so this money won't go away, but we chose not to allocate it to school sites in 2023-24. We just held it until we received additional clarifications. The money from 23-24 will be distributed to our school sites in 24-25. We've already included it in the budget. And then we will also be receiving a 24-25 award, and this is an ongoing funding program too. So we'll see this money every year. As I said, we do have expenditure reporting requirements associated with this, and we have 3 years to spend it. So we have plenty of time to spend down. Another part that's required of this program is that each individual school site actually has a Proposition 28 plan on how they're spending the money. So we're working with the sites right now to determine how they want to spend these funds. Many sites already have an idea, some are still working on it. But as also another requirement of this program is that we have to present and approve an annual report to the board. And the requirements of that report are pretty simple. The amount that was spent, the number of full-time equivalent teachers or classified personnel that you're funded with this money, the number of pupils served, what the program is that you're doing at your school for arts and music, and then the number of school sites providing arts education and programs with these funds. So this fund is we're required to approve it by the board, and then later we're required to submit this report to CDE, where they will post it on a state website. And as last year, because as I mentioned, we didn't allocate the funds, all of the mentioned items are zeros. We didn't add any FTE, we didn't spend any dollars. So that's what the report reflects this year.
Okay, any questions? This is also an action item.
No questions.
Okay, could we get a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve the Proposition 28 Arts and Music in Schools Funding Annual Report.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you, Mr. Rivera. And then with that, we move on to board business. Any comments from board members?
Oh, only that we're looking forward to the opening of school a couple weeks away, and I hope everyone else is too.
Yep, same here, Pat. Thank you. I'll piggyback on that, and also thank Lupita for the incredible work you do to make this boardroom so beautiful with all the art. It's just magnificent, and I don't even know how many hours this must take to put all these up, but it really makes it very special in here to be surrounded by the art of our students. And also, thank you again for the yummy snacks in the closed session today. You always take really good care of us, and I just am so grateful.
I don't really have much. I'm wondering if did I miss the information about the Truckee High Marching Band, or is this the first time that the board is hearing about that?
This is the
Cut.
first time that the board is hearing about that, but I will
Okay.
update you in the letter.
Yeah, I would appreciate that.
absolutely.
Yeah, I completed the required ethics training, which to the town of Truckee's attorney credit made I think it was 3-hour presentation and workshop doable. He was really, really funny. So, but yeah, that's another one under my belt. I think that's it. Anyone have anything else? All right, let's adjourn. Thank you.
All clear.